Hello, welcome back to our channel. I am Rupali Shah, a blockchain developer and an instructor at Newton School. Today's agenda is to discuss about memory and storage, and we will be also getting that how memory is different from storage. So, if you belong to a developer field, if you belong to a computer field, and if you are aware of computers, then you know that every computer has two types of memory, the one which stores data temporarily and the one which stores data permanently. So the same way in blockchain you have two types of variables, the one that will be persisting the values on the temporary basis and the one that will be persisting the values on the permanent basis. So in solidity, if we talk about solidity, then memory, the variables that are declared with the keyword memory would be taking the data and storing it for a particular time. There will be the persistence of a data for a particular function span till the function is executing. The memory will exist, the values will be there, and the time the execution of that function stops, the values would be disappeared, the same way we see with the RAM. The value is on the RAM will be stored until your computer is running, and once you stop the computer, the value stored on the RAM would be vanish, it would be like deleted. And same way, like your hard drive, we have storage and it stored the data for not only for the execution of that particular function. The value of that particular variable will be still there after your functions get executed. So let's see an example, but before moving to the example, I would like to tell you about Newton School. So Newton is basically an edtech company, a place where you can learn about development and get your self introduced to a computer science field and take their courses to become a web developer. But the best part about this particular platform is that at the beginning you don't need to pay any fees, and they also guarantee you a placement from 5 lakhs to 40 lakhs. So once you get a placement, then only you need to pay for their courses. So if you want to get the details of this particular platform, you may visit the link in the description, and you can then get all the details of like uh, this particular platform and get yourself registered and start your career in computer science. So don't forget to visit the link in the description. Now let's see the example and let's try to understand the difference between memory and storage. And the second difference between memory and storage is that as we all know that in blockchain every state change creates a transaction, so each transaction needs to be give some gas fees to the miners. And in if you are using memory, then there will be a very negligible gas fees, but if you use storage, then you might have to pay a very high gas fees. So yeah, this is the second difference between memory and storage. And for discussing this particular term, we will be using two or the three things like struct mappings. So don't get worried with these particular things, there would be a dedicated video for structs and mappings also. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe this channel so that you get the notification of all the videos which are coming on the topic related to solidity in future. So let's get started. First, let's create a struct, and let's give this struct a name demo. And let's say okay, we need two things, one would be the id and the second will be the title. So let's say the string type would be title. TLE. Now let's create a mapping. Mapping is like a dictionary in Python. So if you belong to a Python field, you will get what I am doing. Now let's say we want to map addresses with demo struct. So address is basically a special type of data type in Solidity that helps you to store an address of any particular account or smart contract, anything. So yeah, it's basically a hexadecimal, like 64-bit or 32-bit value, the hash basically. So yeah, that's the address, and let's give this as my map. And now let's say that okay, my map, and we want the address type. So if you want the your particular account address, the one who is basically clicking on this particular function, then you can use message dot sender, like who just initiated this particular transaction. So to get the address of that particular thing, you can use message dot sender. Now let's say that okay, this would be a demo, and let's say okay, we want id to be 2, and we want title to be hello Solidity, hello Solidity. So this is the title and id. And now let's say that okay, we are gonna create first with storage, and then we are gonna create with memory. So we are, and the thing is that memory and storage needs to be used with struct mappings and arrays, and you can also use them with the strings, because strings are also a type of array in Solidity. And the second thing is that by default, if there is a struct or a map created, then it is of the local variables are of storage type. And if you are gonna give any parameters to a functions, then this should be by default, this should be given of memory types, because local variables don't persist every time. Local variables gets vanished whenever the function execution gets over. So keep in mind to keep that local variables as memory type instead of storage type. Now let's create a demo variable of storage type, and let's say this is d1. And let's say okay, we want d1 id. Okay, let's say okay, d1 is equals to my map, and this should be equals to message dot sender. Okay, now let's see. There is no error. We got a green tick. That particular means that our program is like moving smoothly. Now let's say we want to edit something, or we want to make changes of something. So I said okay, let's say d1 dot it should be not equal to 2, instead it should be equal to 4. And yeah, and let's say okay, this let's make this particular thing as public. Public. Now let's save this. There is no error, the compilation was successful. So we could go to the deployed version, and we could just say okay, deploy this particular contract. So at the end you would be looking at two things. One is the test function which we created, and one is the map. So let's say what is in the map. So let's select the account with which we want to fetch the value, and let's say okay, my map. So right now the id is 0, and we are not having anything in the string. Now let's click on the test. So after clicking on the test, we would see that this will be of this demo type, and things would be stored in our particular address, which is 0x5838d. Now let's test it. So yeah, we got 4 and we got hello Solidity. By the way, there it should be 2, but since we have said that d1 is equals to my map, that's why the value is modified. Let's just erase that particular line. Let's save it. Let's again deploy it, and yeah, let's just test it again. Okay, we need the address again, so let's just copy the address. Let's paste it over here, and you can see it's to and hello solidity, but since we need to modify it with the storage one, so since we are using storage, so after the execution of the function, the value will be there. There will be no changes in the value. So let's say we are d1 dot id is equals to 4. Let's save this. Let's again test it. Okay, we need to first deploy, right? So let's deploy it again. Let's move to this particular panel. Let's paste the address, and we get 4 and we get hello solidity. So this is fetching after the execution of this particular function, and since it was storage, we are gonna see this id to be 4. But what if this is a memory instead of storage? So let's move this storage with the memory. Let's replace the storage with the memory. Let's save this. I'm not doing any other changes. I just converted that storage part with the memory, like replace the storage with the memory. And let's just deploy our contract again, and let's move to the contract. And here, if I am gonna paste the, like, test it and like paste it, we are not gonna get id is equals to 4. Then what was the difference? The difference was in the both the thing, like this particular thing and this particular thing, was that this d1 was declared as memory in the second part, and in the first part the d1 was declared as the storage. So that's the reason, that's what I was trying to convey without the example, that if you are using memory, your data is for the temporary basis, and once this execution of the function would be completed, there would be like erased, all the data of your memory type will be erased. But if you have declared any variable with the storage type, it will still persist. Like in another functions also, you can use that particular type. So yeah, that was a difference between memory and storage with an example. I hope you get the thing what I was trying to tell you, and you get the difference between memory and storage. So thank you for watching our video, and please don't forget to subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon to receive all the notification and updates coming up on this particular channel. Thank you guys.